Good morning, everyone. I am in the hospital, as most of you know. I got put back in the hospital yesterday, and I was wanting to share some scripture with you guys this morning and let you know what I was reading about this morning, and maybe it might help you all, as this story always helps me remember that we are more than we give ourselves credit for. So I'm going to read the story, a little bit of a story about Rebecca. Okay, so I'm going to be reading this in my book here that I have that's called Daughters of Grace, the Women of the Bible and the God of Grace. So, excuse my voice, it's a little raspy like, but I'm going to be reading this to you, so I'm just going to put it like this. Okay. It says, Rebecca, Genesis 24 through 28. Rebecca's story is one mixed with tremendous faith and doubt in God's plan. We meet her as the young woman at the well who is willing to help a stranger. As she draws water for him and his camels, she does not realize that she isn't forever changing the course of her life. It took great faith for her to leave her family and follow this man to a faraway land and marry a man that she did not know. She would marry Isaac and would be welcomed into God's grand plan for the nation of Israel. It would be many years before Rebecca would have a child, but God would eventually bless her with twins that would wrestle in her womb. It was her children that would cause... Sorry, you guys. It was her children that would cause her to doubt the Lord's plan and to try to do things in her own way. She would play a pivotal role in having, and I might not say this right, but I looked it up and I think it's supposed to be said like Esau, sell his birthright to her younger son Jacob, claims the birthright and blessing of Isaac. The events would lead to Jacob fleeing his home instead of trusting the Lord. Rebecca did things her own way, and the consequences included her beloved son being far from her for the rest of her life. The consequences of a rift between her sons would also have long-lasting effects, as they would be nations at odds for centuries. The nations would be set against each other even during the time of Christ, when Herod, a descendant of Esau, would seek to kill the young Jesus, a descendant of Jacob. And yet, through it all, we can see how God used Rebecca. She would be an important matriarch in the lineage of Israel, though she was an imperfect woman with faith that sometimes wavered. She was used by the God who had called her out of her father's house and into the beautiful adventure that he had set before her. Now I have it back on me. I'm going to finish reading a little bit of it that I really love. It says, hopefully I can do it without crying, because it's some good stuff. Her life reminds us that God uses imperfect women to fulfill his plan. Rebecca made mistakes and tried to do things her own way. She struggled to trust that God's plan was really what would be best for her and her family. And yet God still used her. We are imperfect women, and yet God, in his rich love and mercy, will use us as well. So, I wanted to share that with you all because I've been going over this morning and looking through my books and everything that I brought with me to the hospital. And a lot of you, just like me, sometimes forget that a lot of you all, like me, have to remember that our lives might not have started out perfect. You know, you might have had a a really rough childhood. You might have had went to college. You might not have went to college. You might have got married. Whatever you did, might have lived on the streets. Might have partied too much. Might have done things that you shouldn't have done. At the same point, everyone goes through trials that lead them to where they are in the future, like in their future life. So for me, life's definitely always been a challenge, sort of. Just different things that happen that aren't really of the normal life that a lot of people have. I did go to college, spent a ton of money on college, got like 3 different degrees at the same time, didn't get to finish one, and then worked. And then once I was pregnant with Mackenzie, and I got really sick, then after that, then I've had to become disabled. So definitely did not plan on that. And that was a struggle within itself, having to realize that life was not going to be like I pictured it. But at the same time, God has always been there. He's always kept me afloat. He's always, my husband told me I said too many times. So I'm trying not to do that, but it's kind of hard. And there I go again. I was going to share with you all. I wrote in my journal this morning, and it has laid out like a praise report for today. So my praise report this morning is that I am feeling better than I did yesterday, which is huge because you have to live every day like that when you're sick. And most people need to live that way every day. You need to. Because tomorrow is going to be different than today. And you have to hope that tomorrow will be better than today. And if you hope that, if you believe in that, then you can make it be better than today. Sorry, I'm a total emotional wreck right now. And then it also says, what is my confession? Well, my confession is that it's been like a year since I've had to been in the hospital. And that was kind of hard because so since it's been about a year since I've been in the hospital, you kind of get to the point where you feel like you're not sick, although you are very sick. You just keep thinking, well, I can do this. I haven't had to be in the hospital. I'm doing good. And then you get to the point where you're like, I don't want to mess up our routine. I don't want to have to go in the hospital. You always put everything else before yourself, which is not what you're supposed to do at all, especially when you're in my shoes, because you have to take care of yourself. Or you can't take care of anybody else. So since I hadn't been in here a year, I was almost feeling like, man, I got this. Like, I can do this. I'm Superwoman, right? Like, I got this. But then you're like, can't get rid of an infection I've had for 2 months. What's going on? Like, I already know that my body has a really hard time since the one lung is the only one that works, it has a really hard time of kicking stuff out. Whereas if you have 2 healthy lungs, I feel like we almost take for granted, like when I used to have thought that I had 2 healthy lungs compared to now, because those are the only lungs that, God gave you. So you've got to take care of them, because not having one that works, it's crazy. And I know a lot of people might be born with just one lung or different things, but I'm not ready to be put on the transplant list yet. But even if I do get put on the lung transplant list, and like I told Billy the other day, I just wish they could take the bad lung out, but we've been there before. We've talked to the doctors in Louisville, and that's not a scenario that is going to happen. They're only going to be able to do that if it's last resort. Like, I'm way worse than I am now, and then the only option for me is a heart and a lung transplant at the same time, which is crazy. Don't want to think about that yet. But sometimes we have to forget that we aren't Superwoman, and we have to tell the doctor that, yeah, maybe I agree with you. I need to go into the hospital so I can get better, which is a really hard thing to admit. But it kind of goes on to say what's on your heart. I think I've already covered that, obviously, with you guys today. But it also says, make me more like you, Lord. And my thing is, I just want to be kind and to be able to have mercy on myself and others like God does, and also to love others and myself like God does. And it ends with the verse that I'm praying about. Well, the verse that I'm studying today and praying about, and I'll probably do a couple more too today, since I'm in the hospital and I don't have anything else to do, but is obviously Rebecca, because even though she might not have been the perfect woman that a lot of us struggled to be, to make everyone think that we are anyhow, because I know I'm not the only person that does that. But I'm praying for her and all the other people out there that are like that. So I'm going to end this video, and I really appreciate all the comments, all the likes. You guys have to subscribe. That would be great. Totally in a contest right now, trying to see who can get the most subscribers. So I hope that's me. I really appreciate you guys listening to my craziness, but I feel like it's important. So if you want to see more videos, comment below, like, subscribe. Also, kind of tell me what you'd like to hear about. What else you might want me to cover, scripture-wise, life-wise, anything like that. So just remember, if nobody else tells you this today, we're all imperfect. You have to strive to be the person that you want to be today. And that's where I'm at right now. So, love you guys. Thank you for watching. Breakfast looks so good this morning. Nice and healthy.